This is Twit.
Nexus 5,
MySpace?
yay, nay?
MySpace?
I'm curious what display you're comparing to, or
When I okay,
I've heard this around the office a lot. So
Have you?
Yeah, I don't think because that was Leo's immediate. It looks washed out.
The first 1080p display that I had access, like that I reviewed and had for like a week and got really used to it, and I saw it immediately in that display was the Droid DNA.
Yep.
And the DNA.
It's interesting
had a
you bring the Droid DNA up.
Fantastic display, just super.
You just walked. I feel like you just walked into a trap.
I may have.
So what if I told you that the Nexus 5 has the exact same panel that the Droid DNA uses?
I have a hard time believing that.
It is the exact same panel.
I feel like the contrast
literally
on the
the same.
DNA. I feel like the darks were darker or something. All
you
I
can
know.
When was the last
different
time you
tuning.
saw a DNA?
Well, it's been I mean, when the DNA came out,
So maybe we should go
8
compare
months,
it.
Whatever. Yeah, I'd love to see it side by side. It's not that I don't believe you. I totally believe you.
Right.
But it was literally the first thing that I noticed when I picked up the phone. When I looked at it, I was like,
I would
this
say
looks
you're
good.
probably spot on, because the even though it's the same panel, HTC does different tuning.
They probably
And
do.
The taste right now, especially if people are saying it looks washed out, is really the difference between when you're overdriving the saturation curve
Yep.
to try to make it look
you're
like
exactly
AMOLED,
right.
which I see a lot of OEMs doing. Like if you look at the saturation curve, after like 75 or 80%, 80 IRE on the color, it'll just go to the ceiling. Like it'll be flat out red the whole way across. So it sort of looks blown out. So I think a lot of people, when they look at sRGB or stuff that maybe isn't as crazy anymore, it'll have that washed out appearance, even though that's just reality. You know, like if you go to the Note 3 or you go to a Galaxy S4, put it in movie mode, and then you get a saturation curve that's much more sane or close to reality. And you'll see things like, for me, the Play Store green, I think that's what a lot of people are talking about. It looks a lot less just sort of blown out green, really off the walls, crazy green. When in reality, it's kind of a muted pastel. It's not really super green. Same with a lot of the other UI elements. But yeah, it's the same. It's the JDI 4.95 inch 1080p display. So which was my first experience with a 1080p 5-inch display as well, the Droid DNA. But I think this is a lesson that there's a lot of tuning that OEMs can do in their calibration profiles, and I've been kind of pushing handset makers, OEMs. I mean, obviously Google has kind of made it their task as well to sort of target sRGB, and I think that you will see a little bit of pushback where people are sort of adjusting, or maybe it's sort of, I make it analogous to, like Pepsi versus Coke, right? Sweeter is always going to win in just naive testing. The same thing here with displays. If you go into a Best Buy, they're going to have the displays in the vivid mode. It's very saturated.
Yeah, exactly. They crank it up so that you notice it.
This is that same sort of taste test.
Totally. And I will say that over the course of the weekend, my eyes have adjusted, and now I don't really see that. I don't see it as much as I did when I first looked at it. And that's part of what I had said earlier, which is that when I first got it, I had reservations. Over the course of the weekend, they completely went away. I'm absolutely loving it.
My complaint is that there's light leak at the top. There's a little bit of light leakage at the very top. Or at least it seems to be on my units.
I see a little bit
which
of
is,
that.
it's sort of accentuated by the fact that now they have that transparency at the top and bottom. But, this is a panel that previously was like state of the art. So now it's available in volume.